let's just get right into it. So first example, we have x squared minus 8x plus 5. Now when the leading coefficient is 1, now we can see here there's nothing in here, but there's actually like an invisible 1 here. So when the leading coefficient is equal to 1, then that means that you can solve it in this way. You have to see two numbers that multiply to this number, c, which is plus 15, or positive 15, and that add up to negative 8. So what are two numbers that add up to negative 8 and multiply to negative or positive 15? If you keep guessing and searching, you'll find that negative 3 plus negative 5 is equal to negative 8, because plus negative 5 is basically just minus 5. Negative 3 minus 5 is equal to negative 8. And negative 3 times negative 5, so we multiply them by each other this time. If we do that, then that'll be 15. So then the positive 15, just like here. So those are going to be the numbers where we're going to put them and factor them. So we're going to have x minus 3 times x minus 5. So now, after we do this step, we're almost done. We just have to solve for x. So using the zero product property, you can see here that x minus 3 is going to be equal to 0, not anything else. It's going to be equal to 0. So x minus 3, I'm going to have to add 3 to both sides to isolate the x and see the value. What's it going to be? So obviously these are going to cancel, and we'll bring down this x. So we're going to have x equals 3. So that's our first like solution. That's our first value of x. So let's just highlight it here just so we can know that this is the answer, the first answer. The second one is going to be x minus 5 equals 0. So we add 5 to both sides to isolate x. So we're gonna negative and positive 5 cancel each other out, and we have this x, bring it down, x equals to 5. So that's our other solution. So those are the answers to this quadratic equation. It's gonna be 3 and 5. Next. Alright, so next example is going to be 16x squared minus 81. So this time it's going to be different. You can see here that it's a difference of squares actually, because 16x squared is a square and 81 is actually a square of 9. 9 times 9 equals to negative 81, or sorry, positive 81. So when we have a difference of squares, there's actually a formula on how to factor it. Here it is. I'm going to write it like right here. So we're going to have a squared minus b squared. So these are the squares. And they equal to a plus b. A plus b times a minus b. So that's the formula. So we know, let's see what a and b equal to. So a equals to the square root of 16x squared. So the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of x squared is just x. And b will be the square root of 81. Square root of 81, if you memorize the squares up to like from 1 to 10, you will know this is going to be 9. So now we're just going to substitute these values in the formula here. So we're going to have a plus b, so a is equal to 4x, so we're going to have, and b equals to 9, so we're going to have 4x plus 9 times a minus b, so this time it's going to be 4x minus 9 here. So now we have factored the problem. So now, using the zero product property again, we can change these and make these 4x plus 9 equals to 0. And we also have the other one, which is 4x minus 9 equals 0. So let's start with 4x plus 9 first. 4x plus 9, first of all, we're going to get rid of the plus 9. So we're going to subtract both sides by 9. So positive and negative 9 obviously cancel. And let's bring down the 4x. So we'll have 4x equals to 0 minus 9, which is equal to negative 9. So now we just divide both sides by 4, because 4x means 4 times 4. So if we divide both sides by 4, we're going to have the value of x. We're going to isolate x. So these cancel, and we're going to have x equals to negative 9 over 4. So we can't really simplify negative 9 over 4. I don't think there's a way to simplify it. So that's just the answer. That's basically it. And let's see the other answer now. We have 4x minus 9. So we're going to add both sides by 9 this time. So not subtract, because this time it's already subtraction, I mean English. So if we're going to have to do the opposite. Bring down the 4x. 0 plus 9, that is equal to 9. So 4x equals 9. And then the final step, just like what we did last time, is just divide both sides by 4. So 4x over 4, the 4's just cancel. So we're just gonna cancel those. And then we're gonna have x equals to 9 over 4. And yet again, we can't simplify this, so we're just gonna have to keep it like this. So these are the two answers, negative 9 over 4 and 9 over 4. So we can say that x equals to plus or minus negative 9 over 4. Or sorry, plus or minus 9 over 4. So it's positive and negative. So this is the final answer right here. That's the final answer to this, to the equation, I guess. Next, we have x squared plus 3x minus 10. So this one is like the first example, x squared minus 8x plus 15. We're going to solve it the exact same way. So let's do that. So we're going to have two numbers that multiply to negative 10 and add to negative 5. So let's see what the factors of negative 10 are. So we have negative 1 and positive 1. I'll just write plus or minus 1. We also have plus or minus 2, plus or minus 5, and plus or minus 10. Now 1 and 10, we don't really need those. 2 and 5 might work. So let's try negative 2 and 5. So negative 2 and positive 5. Negative 2 plus 5 does equal to 3 indeed. So, and negative 2 times 5, not plus 5, but times 5, does equal to negative 10. So that's the correct, these are the correct numbers we need to use to factor this equation. That did not look like a 0. There we go. Let me just erase this real quick, because we don't need this. So now we have negative 2 and 5. So we can have x minus 2 times x plus 5. So now let's use the zero product property again. So we're going to have x minus 2 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals to 0 too. So let's do x minus 2 first. So we're going to have to add 2 to both sides for this to work. So these cancel. Bring down the x. We're going to have x equals 0 plus 2, which equals to just 2. So that's our first answer. X equals 2. The second one, we're going to have to subtract 5, not add 5, since the opposite of subtraction is addition. Or the opposite of addition is subtraction. Sorry. So positive and negative 5 cancel out. and then bring down the x, and then we're going to have x equals 0 minus 5. 0 minus 5 is just negative 5. So these are the answers, 2 and negative 5. So that's it, basically. Next, this is the last example. So here we can see we can't do the same way we did for the last example, since this time the leading coefficient is 3 actually, not 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something called factoring by grouping. So the middle term right here, x, or positive 8x, we can split it and make it, so we have 3x squared here. We can make it plus 3x plus 5x, and then plus 5, of course. So now let's see if we're on the right track. If you see the ratio of the first two terms and then the last two terms are the same, then that means that you're doing well so far. So let's see here. We have 3x squared divided by 3x. That equals to just x. And 5x over 5, that also equals x. So the ratio is the same, which means we're on the right track. So that's good. Whoops, I did something wrong for the decoration of the page here. Let me just, yeah, right there. Nice. So now we're gonna see, what we're gonna do is we're gonna highlight these two first and then see the greatest common factor of these. You can see here the greatest common factor is just 3, or 3x, sorry. So then we're going to have 3x squared divided by 3x, which is x, and plus 3x over 3x, that's just 1. So we're going to have x plus 1. And then the greatest common factor of the next two terms, 5x plus 5, that's just 5. So we're going to have plus 5 times 5x over 5 is just x. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So now we can see here the things in the middle of the parentheses, x plus 1, are the same, which means you're still on the right track, which is good. So now what we're going to do, this is the final step, well, not the final step to finally doing this equation, but we'll see here. We're going to put the common factor here, x plus 1, we're going to put it in one side. And then the things on the outside, like 3x over here and 5, we can just put them onto the other one. So we're going to have x plus 1 times 3x plus 5. So now we've completely factored this by factoring by grouping. So now the final step we could do, or we should do, we must do, is just to use the zero product property and find the values of x. So we're going to have subtract 1 to both sides. So these cancel. And bring down the x. And we're going to have x equals to 0 minus 1, which is negative 1. So our first value of x is negative 1. So we have x equals negative 1. And the other one, 3x plus 5, if we do 3x plus 5 equals 0, first we're going to have to subtract by 5. So we're going to have minus 5, and just these cancel. Bring down the 3x, and we're going to have 3x equals to negative 5. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. And then we divide both sides by 3 to isolate x finally. So 3x over 3, those cancel the 3's, and we're left with just x. And x equals to negative 5 over 3. We can't really simplify negative 5 over 3, so that's basically the end of it. So we have x equals to negative 1 and x equals to negative 5 over 3. So these are the answers. And that's basically it. We're done with these examples. It was just 4 examples. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it and found it educational and learned something new, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn that button gray. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.